Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Tracey. I am your host, Tracey Osborne. So today I am wearing my Biggest Loser t-shirt that I got when I did the Biggest Loser run walk. And the reason I'm wearing this is in honor of my guest today. And let me tell you why. After being told at the age of 37 to either have weight loss surgery or die, Bryan Ganey ignored the doctors and proceeded to lose almost 400 pounds. 400 pounds on his own through diet and exercise. That is why I'm so excited. He has since kept the weight off for 7 years and has written a book about his experience and become a motivational speaker. So, Bryan, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, it's great to be here, Tracey. Thank you for having me. It is an honor. Thank you. And I love that you're wearing your t-shirt. That's great.
As most of my listeners know, if they've been following me for any point in time, they know that weight loss is a huge struggle for me. They also know that I am addicted to obstacle course racing, and the Biggest Loser run walk was what got me started. It was a couple years ago, and I was like, let's do this. Let's see what happens. And I got on this course, and it's done in conjunction with Spartan. And if you've ever done a Spartan race, if you skip an obstacle, you have to do burpees. Well,
oh boy,
this was our Get Out of Burpee Free shirt. So we didn't have to do burpees. And we had a little bit more of a modified course, but it kind of kickstarted me like, this is amazing. I want to do more of this. I need to get stronger so I can do a full Spartan and stuff like that. So yeah. So I'm just super excited to have you. Okay, so I need to know, because I was looking at your before picture. We have it up on the web page here.
Okay.
How were you at your heaviest?
At my heaviest? So I didn't know this, and I didn't know this until I was admitted to the hospital the day I almost lost my life. But once they were finally able to find a scale that would weigh me, 577 pounds was
Wow.
the max. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. I used to watch a lot of the 600-pound weight loss.
Yeah.
600-pound life or whatever it's called.
Yep. My 600-pound life. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it kind of started getting depressing. So I kind of stopped watching it. I was like, I need more motivation than this. But to see these people and I'm only 210, 211 right now, but I have enough health challenges just being this size. I can't imagine what life was like for you at 570 pounds. The quality of life must have been like non-existent.
It really was. And it was pure misery. And just like you see on my 600-pound life, people adapt to those limitations. And what I started to do is I started to live a life of just limitations and going without and not doing things and staying in my house for days at a time and really just not being able to do anything. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about the misery of being at that weight, but I mean, there's a lot of things that I now take for granted and that you take for granted and probably most of your listeners and viewers take for granted. But things like just being able to get in a car without thinking about whether or not you're going to fit, being able to ride on an airplane. And I had also gotten so heavy that I couldn't buy clothes at the store. I was even larger than any of the biggest clothes at the big and tall stores. So those pants that you see in the before picture, which I still have those pants, it's the one thing I saved. Those were actually tailor-made. I had to have those made by a seamstress because no one sold clothes big enough for me to wear. So it really is the little things, but also it's just the embarrassing, humiliating kind of limitations of, I mean, everything from just looking at it, wanting to sit in a chair, but looking at the chair and going, okay, now is that chair going to hold me up or is it going to collapse? Does the chair have arms? And if it does, will I fit between them? So you wind up just having to stand sometimes because the chairs in the hospital waiting room have arms, and so you're not going to fit in between them. So all kinds of things like that, just the stuff that I no longer have to think about, but I have I've never forgotten it. That's for sure.
And you probably never will forget. I know that I can't imagine that I would. When you're talking about the embarrassment and stuff too, watching these shows, I see people when they're out in the grocery stores, and I've been kind of more cognizant when I'm out in the grocery store and I see somebody who is severely overweight and they're in the wheelchair and stuff, and people are just staring at them and they're watching and they're judging, like, what's in your basket?
Sure.
And I even see it from me when I'm in the store. I see people kind of looking at me, and if I grab a package of cookies or something like that and put it in my basket, and maybe it's my own self-consciousness, but I'm like, are they judging me because I just grabbed cookies? Do they think that these are for me when really this lettuce is for me and the cookies are for my kids? Or and so I totally, to a limit, can kind of understand and feel that embarrassment. And, for me, I think a lot of it's just self-imposed. But so what was your turning point? I mean, what finally said, enough is enough? This has got to stop.
That's exactly what happened. So actually almost 7 years ago, almost to the day. So June the 20th of 2010, I came to work, and I work in an office building, and I live in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was in June, and it was very hot outside. And I had been having some trouble breathing, and I ignored it, which is the dumbest thing I've ever done, because I'm lucky to be alive. But I'd been experiencing some shortness of breath, and so I came to work anyway. And as I was walking in toward the building, I never made it inside because just outside the door in some bushes, I collapsed, and I could not breathe. And I couldn't figure out why, but I couldn't breathe. I could breathe in and out, but I just didn't feel like I was getting any air, getting any oxygen. And so I was rushed to the emergency room, and it took about 9 hours for them to figure out what was wrong with me, because the frustration that the cardiologist and the pulmonologist and everybody around me was having is because I was so large, I didn't fit in any of the machines that they needed to diagnose what was wrong with me. So modern medicine is not set up for handling people that large, people of that size. And so they had to do a lot of guesswork and a lot of kind of old school medicine to try and figure it out. But eventually they came to the conclusion that they were pretty sure that I was suffering from what's called a pulmonary embolism, which is nothing. I'd never heard of that before. I didn't even know what it was. But when I was subsequently in the hospital, I was able to research it more. And I found out it's the second leading cause of sudden death in the United States after cardiac arrest. People just tend to drop dead from it. And so the fact that I survived it is the greatest gift of my life. But I was in the hospital, and right after I got admitted, Tracey, I started to do the things that I guess you would expect somebody like me to do. I started to kind of do everything I could to preserve the lifestyle that I had. So I was lining people up to smuggle in the fast food, and I had another person that was going to come and visit me and was going to bring me my 2 liters of diet soda, which I drank by the gallon. And I had it all lined up. And
your enablers.
Oh, all of my enablers. I mean, it was almost like I was like Elvis in the later years or something, because I had just these people around me that would just do whatever I wanted to make me happy. But at the same time, they're killing me, right?
Right.
So the big turning point for me came when about the 3rd day I was in the hospital, because they would not let me go until the blood clots started to recede. And because I only had a little bit of lung capacity in one lung, the other one was blocked. And so they wouldn't let me go. So I'm stuck in the hospital, and I was doing the up all night, sleep all day routine. So I was, again, maintaining that 577-pound lifestyle. And I remember just a nurse, she was a registered nurse, a nurse for the cardiologist. She just basically kicked in the door one day and started shouting my name and woke me up and asked me what I was doing. And this was somebody, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
That came true for me, because Nurse McDonald, and I've kept in touch with her, she just started yelling at me. And she just asked me, why are you here? And I explained to her, and she went down to the end of my bed and got the chart, and she looked at it, and she goes, how much do you weigh? And I said, well, they're telling me I weigh 577 pounds. She's like, you weigh too much. I mean, she's yelling at me. And I couldn't believe it. I was taken aback. I'm like, I can't believe somebody is talking to me this way. Like, I'm a grown man. Like, this is unacceptable. I can't believe this is happening. But she wouldn't let up. She goes, what do you eat? And I said, well, I'm trying to do better. I've been eating like frozen diet dinners and things like that. She's like, that's not real food. You need to eat real food. And she started quizzing me. She goes, what's real food? I said, well, I imagine it would be like fruits and vegetables. She goes, right. And then she goes, what do you drink? And I'll never forget this. I thought I was going to be good here. I thought, oh, this is good. I'll tell her I drink the diet soda. That'll be okay. That'll be my get out of jail free card here. And I said, well, I drink, diet soda, but I make sure I get the diet. She goes, that's worthless. She goes, that doesn't do anything for you. She goes, you need to be drinking water. And then she said the thing to me, Tracey, that echoes around in my head to this day. She said, look at the people that are in the hospital. What do you notice about them? And I said, I don't know. I said, they're all sick. She goes, no. She goes, they're all old. And I said, oh, okay, I suppose so. She goes, you're not old. She goes, you're 37 years old. She goes, you don't belong in the hospital. This is for old, sick people. And I'm standing there thinking, sitting there thinking, why is this woman yelling at me? What did I do wrong? And then she said, she kind of lowered her voice for a minute, and she said, do you really want to spend the rest of your life in the healthcare system? Because that's what's going to happen to you. She goes, you might survive this, and you'll go home, and you keep doing what you're doing. You're going to keep getting what you're getting, and you'll be back here over and over again. And then one day you just won't get out. You'll die. And so she leaves, and I was mad. I was on fire, but I wasn't mad at myself. I was mad at her and the hospital and the system. I thought, nobody talks to me this way. Who does she think she is? And after about a couple more days of laying in the hospital, Tracey, and staring out the window and just not having anything to do, and really it started to sink in. And I realized that she was right, that everything she said was 100% true. And that was the lightning bolt. That was the moment where I just looked at it and I thought, you know what, she's right. This isn't a life. I'm not living a life. I'm not living life. I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere, really. I can't. I'm cheating myself out of everything. I want more. There's nothing I can eat that's worth this. And I thought, I don't want to come back. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in the medical system. I don't want to do that anymore. And then it just, the thing, and to this day, this is what carries me. The two words that popped into my head were just no more. And I sat there and I thought, you know what? No more. No more not being able to fit in the car. No more needing two grown men to help me go to the bathroom. No more of these blood clots. No more almost losing my life. No more scaring my parents who thought that, I was going to die. Just no more. And I remember that little table that is in front of the hospital bed. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm just pounding on it, going, no more, no more, no more. And the nurse came in and was like, what are you doing? You have to be quiet. And so that was really it for me. It was rock bottom, and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I got to realize that there was nowhere to go but up. And that's what I tell people when I speak to groups and audiences. Whatever you're trying to do, if it's maybe you don't have any weight to lose, maybe you want to stop smoking, or maybe you want to improve your career, or maybe your relationship's not where it needs to be, whatever it is, you got to find your no more. How much more do we have to take? How much more are we going to tolerate? How much more am I going to settle for before I do something different? So that was really the turning point for me.
That's hitting home pretty hard right now.
Yeah, we all have something. We all have something, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm one of those where it's okay. I'm going to do it. We're going to do this. I'm finally done. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of saying I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to freaking do it. And I go, great. Bam. And then I get back at it and go, great, and bam, I screw it up again, and it's just constant. It's, the yo-yo dieting, and I've tried everything, and, just like every other common, person who's overweight and struggling to lose the weight and stuff. So it's, just hitting that or hearing that no more is just like, it was like, well, yeah, okay, so what is my no more?
I think that I really think that my problem for years, and what a lot of people struggle with, is we have this all or nothing thinking, where I would think, and it's ridiculous now to
tell my trainer this all the time. You know me, it's either all or nothing.
Oh yeah, it's all or nothing, and I struggle with that to this day. But if I'm 577 pounds, we are way past the all or nothing point. Yeah. If you could just do about 10% of nothing, like, my life would have improved dramatically. And what I realize is that to be successful, you just have to get started, but you can't get started unless you actually do something. Mm-hmm. And in your situation with not an enormous amount of weight to lose, the success comes from the failure. So you look at, okay, I start and I stop because I don't get instantaneous results, because I do something that runs contrary to what I think I should be doing, so I give up.
Right.
And that's the line of thinking a lot of us have. But if that would be basically, you could do an analogy where it's like, if you had one flat tire, you wouldn't just get out of the car and say, oh, well, and just take a knife and stab the other 3 good tires. You wouldn't completely throw the whole baby out with the bathwater just because of one little thing. It's that consistent action where you say, okay, today I'm going to eat better than I did yesterday. And then if later on the day you do something that's not better than it was yesterday, say, okay, well, no problem, I'm going to keep going. And that was the process that I discovered, is that I'm just going to keep going, and it's going to be gradual. And you don't really care how long it takes, because weight is not lost, it's managed. And so if you're sitting there at 210 or whatever you said, it would be great to be able to manage it down to 200 and just focus on that and forget about the 120 pound, body that you see at the supermarket checkout stand on the fake magazine. So I think that people are too hard on themselves is really what it comes down to.
Oh, I know they are. So do you think that that's why people, so many people fail at weight loss, is just because we're like, oh, well, I had that cookie which turned into a whole package, so I might as well go and have the ice cream to go with it. And while we're at it, let's wash it down with the soda. And okay, well, I've had a bad day, so I might as well just have a bad week, and we'll start next month.
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens is of course, there's so much at play at what you said there. The diet mindset, and I talk about that in my book, that diet mindset of, okay, I'm going to do something different for a short period of time to experience a short-term result, and I'm going to label that a success. When it's really not, because what I learned is that losing weight just for the sake of losing it is a complete waste of time. Because if you can't keep it off, it's not worth losing. And so what you've got to decide deep down before you even do anything, you've got to decide, okay, we have the cookies, we have the ice cream. So there's a lot going on here. So are you the type of person who can just have a reasonable amount of the cookies and still get through it? If you can, great. A lot of people are like that. I can't. To me, it's radioactive poison, because if I eat one, then I'm going to always eat the whole package. And so I've got to stay away from that. Exactly. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. We have to eat. You absolutely have to eat. If I was lucky enough to be an alcoholic or have a drug problem, that would be great, because I could just stop. I could just stop doing those things. Cold turkey, boom, never do it again. I would find that easier than being told, okay, you've got to eat. You still have to eat the food, which is a drug for you, but you have to eat less. So that's the part that's very hard. But getting back to the cookie situation. So if you decide you're not going to eat the cookies because they're bad for you, the issue is, what can you eat instead? Because you have to eat. So people have this junk food or nothing mindset, and it doesn't work, because your body needs fuel. It needs nourishment. So is there a cookie that you could make that would be healthier, or is there a healthy food that gives you some of the properties of the cookie, or is there something you can eat instead? And that's the work that we have to do, and everybody's different.
Yeah. And I think also, too, is why do you want that cookie? Are you really, truly, and this is something that I really try and consciously ask myself, is are you really, truly hungry, or are you stressed? Are you tired? Do you need that sugar boost? Are you just having a sugar craving? And I try very hard, and sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. When I do have those sugar cravings, it's okay. 15 minutes, the craving's gone. We can tough this out, and sometimes I'm successful, and sometimes I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to have the freaking cookies. So, mindset is just, I think it's everything, because those cravings they're so real and they're so powerful.
Sure.
So, I mean, when you're starting to come off of this and you're starting to make your changes, I mean, how hard was that for you to get the mindset and to keep that mindset?
Very hard, and it only gets harder to this day. But here's the good news. I realized that I can get through anything if I just get through it, but that if I give myself some kind of coping skills and tools, and also to back up a little bit to what you were saying, you got to figure out what's really going on. So when I got out of the hospital, for instance, I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was that I wanted to run through a brick wall to get the weight off of my body. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I didn't even know what to eat. I had talked to a registered dietitian in the hospital who kind of took me through some of the basics. kind of the things that you learn in health school and health class in high school, where they talk to you about fruits and vegetables and eating the right things. And I thought, okay, what is standing in my way? And there were a lot of things that I eliminated early on. The first thing I realized was that I ate out too much. So I lived in the fast food drive-thru. And so I thought, okay, the first thing I can do to give myself a better chance at success here is to shop at the grocery store and eat food out of my house. And I thought, you know what, I'll probably overeat the food out of my house and I'm not going to lose any weight for a while. But if I can develop that habit of eating the food out of my house, packing my lunch, and just make that modification, I'll do that for a while. So I did that for about a month. I didn't even measure any of the portions. I didn't care. I thought, you know what, anything that I buy at the store and make myself is going to be better.
Right.
And then the next thing that I did is I started to look at it. I'm like, okay, what's the environment here? What's around me that could be making me eat? And that was when I had to have a real hard conversation with myself about the television. I loved to watch TV. And in particular, just like any other guy, I love to watch sports. And my sport was baseball. And so I had the satellite package where I could watch all 15 games every night. And it was really ridiculous. And of course, what's on TV all the time but food commercials. And I realized that by sitting there watching food commercials and even just watching shows where people were eating, I'd see people eating and I wanted to go eat.
Right.
Or even if I watch the Food Network and I see people cooking, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go eat now. And I thought, you know what, this is a gigantic stimulant sitting in my bedroom. And so I got rid of it. I made that radical decision to just eliminate the TV service. And I just took the TV out of my bedroom and I said, okay, that's gone. And then I realized that the next thing I realized is, like, I spent a lot of time eating. So people that are, and I hate this term, but it's what the doctors called me, morbidly obese. When you're that large, you spend a lot of time eating. And I still do. I just eat the healthy stuff. But I spent a lot of time eating. It's like, okay, so now that I'm eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner and multiple snacks throughout the day, I got all this time on my hands. So what am I going to do with that time? So those were kind of some of the conversations I had with myself, and things where it's like, okay, what am I going to eat? Where's it going to come from? And what's causing me to eat? What are the stimulants? And then what am I going to do with all this free time? I would do things like I had a deck of cards, and I wrote on each card something to do. Just anything. Just go to the movies, mow the lawn, just anything that I could do. And so that when I felt like binge eating, or when I'd eaten all my food for the day and there really wasn't any reason for me to keep eating, I would just take out the deck of cards and I'd pull one out and I'd go do that, whatever that was. I pull out the card and it would say, go to the library. I'm like, okay, I go to the library. I even had one that said, take a shower. I go get in the shower. And for some reason, being in the shower and taking a shower and coming out of the shower kind of gave me a sense of renewal, and I didn't want to eat anymore. So I was really doing anything I could to just kind of combat those cravings. But a lot of people overeat, myself included, when I haven't eaten properly. So people are like, I don't know why, I just want the cookies. I'm like, well, what'd you eat for breakfast? Oh, well, nothing. Well, so there's the problem, right?
Right.
Anything is going to look good. You're going to want everything in the vending machine if you haven't eaten anything that day. So yeah. Those are kind of some of the things that I did.
Yeah. I did that the other day. I had yogurt and granola for breakfast, and then I had a really super busy, crazy day, and I didn't have anything else until dinner, and I got pizza that night.
Sure.
4 pieces of pizza. And then the next morning I had like 3 pieces. So basically in 2 days I ate an entire pizza by myself. And I was thinking about it this morning as I was thinking about our interview, and I'm going, the hell, why? It didn't, I mean, yes, I love pepperoni pizza, but after the first slice, you don't taste it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Think about how different that would have gone if you would have had a large breakfast. So instead of just, I think you said yogurt and granola.
Yeah.
If you would have had a bigger, I don't know if you like oatmeal, but like a big bowl of oatmeal and still the yogurt, still the granola, and maybe something else with it, to where you ate and you're like, my God, I'm full.
Yeah.
And then lunch rolls around and you have a healthy lunch. Mm-hmm. Then at that point, by the time the pizza thought occurs to you, the starvation is not there.
Right.
So the pizza is not as attractive, and you're like, okay, I'm not dying for food that I need it instantly right now, that I need that pizza fix. So those are just, some of the things that people need to think about, but it takes work. I mean, you gotta manage your food intake and your energy and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think one of the hard parts for me is that I have a family. So while it's easy for me to just say, okay, no more junk food, I'm not buying any more junk food and keeping it in the house, that's not fair to my kids and my husband who can eat that stuff and not worry about it.
Right.
So, I buy it for them and I keep telling myself, okay, we're not going to look at it. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to touch it. And again, sometimes I do great and sometimes I don't. But it's so hard because I feel like just because I have to do this for myself, why is it fair to punish my family by getting rid of their favorite snack foods and stuff too? So.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. People, my husband, my kids, and it's rough. When I got out of the hospital, my parents took care of me because I couldn't do it myself. And they would have junk food in the house. And it's a tough situation. I think that, one place to start is okay, they have their junk food and that's fine. But so what's your junk food? So what is Tracey going to eat when they're having the junk, the cookies, the whatever, the stuff that you should probably, you're telling yourself you should stay away from, what could you have instead? So,
for me, it'd be like a bowl of fruit or, more yogurt and granola. I love yogurt and granola. So, more yogurt and granola or something like that. So, yeah, it is. It's making that conscious. So it's so much mental. And people don't realize it. I think that it's so much mental. So why didn't you have the weight loss surgery? Wouldn't it have been easier to lose 400 pounds if you'd had a gastric bypass? I mean, it would have taken right off.
It would have been easier, but there were a number of reasons why I didn't do that. And I was actually going to do that because that was the first thing they said to me in the hospital over and over again. They said, and I remember the doctor in the emergency room, they're like, listen, we've already talked to your insurance company and they're going to pay for it all. So this won't cost you anything. We could get you processed in and get the appointments made and this could happen for you in the next month or so. And it's going to save your life. I mean, they're really pushing it. And I'm like, okay, I knew that I was in dire straits and I thought I'm going to die if I don't get this weight off. So that's pretty drastic, for me to need to do that. And, but the longer that I was in the hospital, and especially after I had the conversation with the nurse, the drill sergeant, the longer I was there, a couple of things occurred to me. One, if I were to have the weight loss surgery, I'd have to come back to the hospital. And by that time, I wanted out so bad, I was ready to jump out the window. I just couldn't stand it. They wouldn't let me take a shower because I was hooked up to all these machines.
Yeah.
And so it was really bad. I mean, I don't know if you've ever gone 6 or 7 days without a shower, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
And yeah, terrible.
I try not to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, you try to stick to once a week, whether you need it or not, right?
Exactly.
And so there was that, coming back to the hospital. Then the other issue was I have a problem where I'm prone to blood clotting, which is what caused my problem in the first place.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, there are risks with any surgery, but I thought there's especially risks here because something could happen, I could die. But then the other thing, and this is where we just all have to be honest with ourselves. I have known a lot of people that have had weight loss surgery, and it's a popular procedure. I'm sure you know people, and your listeners and viewers know people. And I have seen people be successful with it, and God bless them. I mean, I never want to take anything away from anyone's success. If someone has had that surgery and been successful with them, phenomenal. But I have seen people have that surgery, and then they go 5 years, and they gain it all back. Mm-hmm. And so I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? If I'm being honest with myself, if I know that I have taken what I perceive as a shortcut, not necessarily that it's a shortcut for everybody, but what I perceive as a shortcut for me, then I'm going to try to cheat the system. And then at that point, what am I doing? I also knew that at that almost 600-pound weight, that if I lost the weight too quickly, I would have a serious loose skin problem.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have to have a second surgery to remove that. And
right.
And that skin removal surgery is in some ways more life-threatening than the gastric bypass itself, because they make an incision the length of whatever loose skin you have. Mm-hmm. So the possibilities of death or infection are tremendous. So all of the... What was that?
I said, not to mention the pain from recovery.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You can imagine having an incision like from your groin all the way down to almost your ankle. So So all of that taken together, and then just I started to get tired of being treated like I was a victim. I got tired of being treated like I was hopeless and powerless over what had happened to me. I really just got tired of that. And it really just became a little bit too much. And then it just, after, when I started my no more thing and that no more chant in my head, that was when I just thought, you know what, I don't need their weight loss surgery. I just need to get out of here. And these people need to get away from me. And I remember those giant pants that you see in the before picture. I took those out of the drawer in the nightstand next to me, the hospital bed. And when they told me I could go home, I put those big pants on. I'm like, I don't need you people for anything. I'm not coming back. I don't want your surgery. I got this. I can do this myself. It's going to be fine. I don't care how long it takes. I had it in my mind. I had that bucket list and that plan that I thought, I'm going to go with 5 years. If I can lose all this weight over a period of 5 years, then maybe the loose skin won't be such a big problem. And so that was really why I didn't do the weight loss surgery. I think that it's a last resort. I think it's a last resort for people, and I think it has its place. But I think people are too quick to do it because I think that they think the surgery itself is going to change their life, and it won't at all. It's just restricting the calories that you can consume for a limited period of time.
Yeah, but you can do that on your own anyway.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing. So how big of a role did exercise play in this?
Oh, exercise is huge, huge. When I got out of the hospital, I couldn't really do much exercise. So my mindset was, well, what can I do? And my first exercise was pushing a grocery cart around the store because I was on oxygen. It gave me something to lean on. And so that's what I did. And I thought, you know what? I don't care how long it takes. I will just do this until I feel like I can do more. And walking really became, and is to this day, my number one exercise of choice because it's free. You can do it anywhere. They don't charge for you to use the sidewalks. I mean, it's so simple. And that was, now I do everything. I do long distance bike riding. I do I do weight training and stuff. For a while I was running, but my knees didn't like that too much. So now I do things like biking and swimming and things like that. But exercise is everything. Now, the thing about exercise, the mistake that people make when they think about exercise is they think I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lose weight. And that's really not what happens. Exercise has a very lousy rate of return when it comes to weight loss because the issue is you would have to, if you eat a candy bar, you would have to run on a treadmill for like an hour or something to get it off. So the benefits of exercise are all mental. My exercise de-stresses me. It gives me the ability to feel better, have more self-confidence, and all of that. So that's really the thing with exercise is you're taking action to improve your health. It just makes me feel better. I sleep better when I exercise. It also suppresses my appetite. So there are lots of benefits to exercise.
Sure. I love to work out. And one of the things that I always keep, one of my mantras, I guess, is that you can't out-train your diet.
Right.
You can't out-train a bad diet. And then there's another one where I see it all the time is weight loss is like 80% nutrition and 20% exercise. So
easily.
Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym, things like that. So I keep reminding myself, okay, I can work out all day long and I would love to work out all day long. But if I don't change the way I'm eating, that's, my love for exercise is probably the only reason I'm not bigger than I am today because of the way I eat. And the way I've eaten in the past. But the fact that I love to work out and I have for years is probably my savior. Otherwise we'd probably be, it'd be a whole different story today. So, right. So, for the listeners that are sitting there that are, they're ready to make a change, they're listening to your story. They're very inspired. What can they do today to start making that change?
Well, the first thing you can do is make a list of everything that you're tired of. Like, just what is it that you are sick and tired of? And I don't mean just put down, because this would be too easy, just put on, I'm tired of weighing whatever you weigh.
Right.
I don't mean just the number. What are the limitations of that? What are you not getting out of life because of your weight or because you're not healthy? What is holding you back? And start to really think about the things that affect you. And I don't mean the sort of vain reasons like I want people to think I look better, or I'm worried about what people think about me. Forget about all that. Think about what's in it for you. What's holding you back, and make that list. And then look at that list and decide no more. Now, who knows what it's going to take for you to reach your goal? Who knows what it's going to take? Who knows what success even looks like?
Sure.
So for you, it might be you lose 10 pounds and that's what you weigh the rest of your life. But hey, you lost some weight and you didn't gain any more and you're a lot healthier, and that's awesome. So I think making that list, drawing that line in the sand, saying no more, and then really formulating a plan for how to move forward. Of course, I would be remiss. What would also help them would be if they were to buy my book, which is Impossible: How I Lost Nearly 400 Pounds Without Surgery.
And the link for that is directly below the video, so make sure you scroll down and click on that and go get his book off Amazon.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you. You can definitely get it on Amazon. I'm also running a special on my website, bryanganey.com, where you can also purchase a signed copy with free shipping. So
that button is right next to the book. So we're good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep,
but the other thing that I will tell people, and this is just kind of a bit of free advice. We do a terrible job of keeping track of what we're eating. Nobody really knows. We're all kind of liars when people ask us how much we eat. We'll just make up a number.
Right.
The next important thing people need to do is you've got to write down what you eat. You've got to just get a little notepad and a pen, or you can use an app or whatever works for you, and keep track of what you eat. Even if you fall off the wagon, keep track, write it down, make a list. And that will help you figure out what's really going on. Am I starving and eating all night because I don't eat during the day? Well, you can see that on the page staring back at you. So,
right.
Those are kind of some basic things that people can do to get started.
That's a huge one. I resist tracking my food, and I forget and whatever. But when I am adamant and I'm really anal about tracking everything that I eat, and I use MyFitnessPal, which just goes on my phone. And I'm measuring and everything like that. It is so eye-opening. It's like, oh my God, I did not realize that peanut butter and jelly sandwich had like 300 calories. Or
sure,
I had that hamburger and it was 400 calories. No wonder I'm not I'm not losing any weight. I had a bowl of ice cream the other day, and I tracked how much. I think it was like, I don't know, 3 cups of ice cream or whatever it was. But I put it in MyFitnessPal, and I was like, 900 calories? No wonder I'm not losing any weight.
Right.
So then I sit there, and it actually, for me, it's like, okay, God, I really want some ice cream. I really, really want some ice cream. That's 900 calories. Do you really want that 900 calories? So I start kind of making that connection. What can we have instead that's 100 calories? Or, and I know that calories or whatever, but for me, it helps me because I'm a numbers person. So that number,
me too, yeah.
Numbers really help me. It's like, okay, this is going to equal this, which is going to equal how many push-ups do I have to do? How many sit-ups do I gonna have to do? So tracking food is definitely a huge one.
Yeah, I don't think any successful weight management is possible without tracking what you eat some way. And unless it's water or air, everything has calories.
Right.
And you really can't get away with everything and anything. And you're right. I mean, if you have the 900-calorie ice cream, it's like, well, show me the 450-calorie ice cream, or show me something else, or give me something different, or what can I eat instead? And you'll never have that conversation with yourself, and you'll never make the substitution until you realize what's really in it. So tracking is so important.
Yep, it is. It's huge. Oh, Bryan, this has been amazing. I could probably talk to you all day about this,
Sure.
It's a subject that's near and dear to me. So it's something that I could talk about a lot. So thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story with us, and giving some inspiration and some pointers, because, man, if you can do it, any of us can do it,
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracey. It's been a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it. And you're right. I'm just a regular person who lost a whole bunch of weight. Anybody can do it. You just have to get started.
Sounds good. All right. You heard it. Anyone can do it. You just have to get started. So we will catch you guys on the next show. Thanks for tuning in.